get started on how we come to get started on this, I think a bunch of us guys used to hang around down at the gas station in Bustay. At that time it was owned by Archie Lane.
Okay.
And of course Archie had a couple kids too that come around that were there, Quentin and Sambo, they called them. But anyway, one night we were just standing around and we were all going to the track. We were always up at the track, and we said, we ought to get a car and race up at that time it was Skyline. State Line wasn't built yet. So
this would have been about 1955 time period?
No, I think it was about 53, 54.
Okay.
Along in there, because I was working in Buffalo and on the Ford plant at that time. And so the first thing we needed was a car. We didn't have anything. None of us had any damn money. So Bobby and I can't remember who all it was. There was about 5 or 6 guys. We all hauled into somebody's station wagon, I think, and we went out looking for a car. We went to a couple, 3 junkyards, couldn't find anything. And we must have been either in Russell or Warren, somebody, because we was coming up Route 62, and we discovered this 37 Chevy Coupe sitting out behind this guy's barn. So we stopped. We figured that might be a good car right there. That's what we wanted, was the body of a 37 Chevy. We didn't care about the engine. So we stopped and asked this old farmer there, and he agreed to sell us the car, but he wanted 20 bucks for it, and we jewed him down to 15. But 15 to us was a lot of money, back then.
Sure.
And so we towed that car. We towed it up to this Glenn Coons, and his father-in-law, his name was Martin Carlson. He had a place up on Lawson Road, and he had a big garage. So we pulled that car in there, took the engine out, and I knew Ralph Botka from Bustay had this 41 Pontiac convertible, and he had a GMC truck engine in it. So we decided we were going to go get that. I was trying to think this morning where the heck we got it, but I think we got it off of Bob Hallett down at Shrewsbury.
Mm-hmm.
So we went down and bought that old Chevy Coupe, or Pontiac, it was a Pontiac Coupe, and we pulled that up to Martin Carlson's up there on Lawson Road. Glenn Coons, I guess it was. I can't remember if it was Glenn Coons' place or Martin's place, but one or the other. We took that engine out of there and put it in that Chevy, and I don't know what we ever did with that old Pontiac convertible. Do you remember that Pontiac convertible that Ralph Botka had? Well, that was a running son of a gun. Boy, he run a lot of races with that thing down going from Bustay to Sugar Grove on the straightaway there.
Not necessarily a racetrack.
No. I remember one time a guy come up from Warren, and he had one of them Dodge, about 53 Dodges. I can't remember what the name of them was, Coronet or something. Had a big engine in it, and he'd heard about Ralph's car. So they went over on the straightaway there in Bustay, Sugar Grove. And they started out, and Ralph just took off and left that guy. And by the time we got down to the end of wherever we was going, I went by him too with my Hudson. That Hudson Hornet was fast. Yeah, and so that guy, he never stopped. He went right back to the Warren.
So this is all on the Bustay Sugar Grove Road. You guys are having drag races.
Oh yeah, well, we had a lot of drag races down there. That was a long straightaway there. Of course, at that time there wasn't that many cars, and the only cop we had was old Willie Mattoon there, and in one arm he couldn't catch anybody. we used to get down in Bustay, and somebody would take off, spin the tires and everything, and he'd take off and follow that car, and then everybody else could do whatever they wanted, especially at Halloween. But we had a lot of fun growing up down there. But then we took that car and took the engine out, and we took it down to Ralph Sandquist, and he painted it up for us, and we called it M1. That was, I'm the one to come up with that number, I remember. Had a big M1, I think it was red, and we had a big gold bullet going through the car on both sides. And
why M1?
Because we named it after the rifle, the M1 rifle. Okay. That was pretty popular back them days, so I come up with that number. And then, well, years later, Bobby ran that M1 for quite a while, and then he dropped it to #1 later years. But so we took that car and well, it had the engine on it was rebuilt, so it was bored out to 302, I think. I can't remember what it was at the beginning, 289 or something. But anyway, so then we decided we were going to put 3 carburetors on it. That was the worst mistake we ever did, because we could never get the darn things running. When it ran like a scared rabbit, but the problem was we couldn't get it to running that often and hitting on all 6 cylinders. So first time we took it, well, then another thing we did, that was Martin Carlson's idea. He decided we was going to take these big pieces of boilerplate. We cut them all out in round circles, and we welded them together. So we was going to use those for our wheels when we welded the wheels. And so the first time we raced, I think about the first time we ran that car, we towed it down to Brockway because Squirt Johns was from Brockway and he wanted us to come down there and race. So we went down there, and I was doing good for about 4 or 5 laps. That car would run. It was a running son of a gun. And about the 4th or 5th lap, I come around, I think it was #4 turn, and the whole wheel just broke right out. Broke right out and threw me into the bank. And we didn't have any other wheels. And somebody said, well, we probably had a couple, 3, and we was going to throw one on, and somebody said, you want to run some more? I said, well, I don't see any sense in running because them wheels are going to break right out anyway. So, I don't know, somebody talked us into it, and I ran about 2 more laps, and another wheel broke out. So that kind of ended our night that night. So we went back and welded up some wheels for it and got rid of those boiler plates. And so then we took it up to Skyline. The only reason I was racing was because Bobby wasn't old enough. He had to be 21 to run in Pennsylvania at that time. And he was a couple of years younger than I was, so I was probably about 21, and he was probably maybe 18, 19. So, and I can't remember if it was the first race we raced up there or not, but I remember one time what happened, the 25-lap feature the week before had been rained out because it was raining, and it rained all damn week, but they decided they were going to race anyway, and the track was in horrible shape. They had the dryers and everything, trucks, but they didn't have the equipment there. They did up at State Line a few years later. And so we run up there that night. We should never race. It was on a Sunday afternoon. And I remember there was a hole over in the backside there. I missed that, but there was another one right almost to the starter stand, and Marv Thorpe was the starter. And I don't know what happened. I come around the 4th turn there, and somebody clipped me in the rear end, I think, and it spun me, and then I hit that big hole, and the car rolled, and I took the starter stand right out.
Oh, jeez.
right out from under Marv Thorpe. He was really scrambling. And I remember Squirt Johns was behind me because he hit me in the top, and I had a piece of his car fender or something was wrapped right around the wheel or tire on the car and on the M1. So that ended that day. But then we took it. Next time I remember we took it down to Bradford. I don't know if it was the next time, but I remember we went down to Bradford with it. And Bradford, I don't know. Do you remember the Bradford track? It was like an egg. You come around a big sweep here, and then it went down to a point. You almost had to stop and go around on the 2nd and 3rd turn. And I got down there. Well, what happened? I had a big carbuncle on the back of my neck right here. I'd never had one before, never had one after. And I couldn't even button my helmet without it killing me. So Punk Van Gilder, remember Punk Van Gilder? He was there. Punk says, I'll drive the damn thing. Well, he drove it. I don't even know if he made 1 lap or not. He went over. Next thing I knew, I saw the bottom of the car that went over the bank. Punk, I didn't know if you know Punk Van Gilder, but he was crazy.